So I'm going to just make sure if you want to know more about Rise and Flow, you can go to their website at riseandflowllc.com. That's where you can find out more about all their virtual classes, their media library, how to book a class, when the live sessions are happening. Tons of great information and just fantastic. Not only Stephany, but your whole team is amazing. I've been watching you on Instagram, where of course I encourage people to follow you as well.
Yes, they're so awesome. We all have our own niche, and it is just phenomenal to have us all working together. We have a lot of fun too, which is also a big part of building a team. You want to be able to have fun.
Yeah. Well, I'm just so proud of the work that you're doing, and I'm glad that it continues to grow, and we continue to be great supporters of all that you're doing. So Stephany, earlier in the show, we talked about this theme, and of course, in your video, you talked about it. There's this word that's thrown out a lot these days, especially probably with all the stress in the world, both politically, both in the consciousness of a lot of our citizens out there, and then of course with the pandemic, and that's mindfulness, getting to a place of mindfulness. So I'm just going to be very blunt, if you don't mind, and I'm going to ask you, Stephany, what is that, and how can I get some? Because it sounds fantastic.
Yeah, it sounds pretty fancy, right? Yeah, that's a great question. It's very simple, and I really want to emphasize that. It's very simple, so don't make it more than what I'm going to say.
Okay.
Mindfulness is really just being fully aware and fully present. Mindfulness is just being fully aware and fully present. And it really so just kind of diving a little deeper into that, when you are aware, think about walking outside, right? And instead of darting straight to your car, you are completely aware of your surroundings. You notice how fast the clouds are moving. You notice your neighbors either walking outside, or you notice if the grass is a little high. There are just little things that you actually pay attention to instead of just focusing on your feet walking you to your car. So that's kind of an example that I like to share to put it into perspective. And then, bringing it back to being fully present, right? When you are aware of those things, you are setting yourself in real time instead of saying, oh, as soon as I get in my car, I'm going to put my cup down. But instead, it's like, I am walking to my car right now. That's what I'm doing. And you're really going through the motions with just being present in that action, instead of forcing your body to be present where you are and thinking about, what do I have to do next? What do I have to do tomorrow? And there's this can't wait, can't get ready attitude where people are really just waiting for the next thing instead of finding gratitude and stillness in the moment that is right now.
I love that. I love the finding gratitude and stillness, because I do think that is where, I'll just speak for me, and I'm sure this is probably similar to a lot of people, where I lack that. I feel like I'm grateful for everything. But if I were to walk you through my day and all the things that I don't even know how I get to point A to point B sometimes, how I work through problems, how I, answered questions, how I've driven from one location to another, like I have no idea. I've got too many things going on in my head that I don't actually get a chance to go. Breathing technique? Is it just kind of slowing your mind down a little bit? Because again, I think I'm not even aware. I'm subconsciously ignorant, if you will, on all the things that I'm missing out on.
Yes, and that's a great point, because sometimes I get so in the thick of being within my personal peace, because you can be walking and still have this meditative experience going on, right? So to really zone in on what your mindfulness looks like, because it will look different from person to person, right? And even from moment to moment. But for you, maybe just sitting down and finding out what that looks like, taking 2 minutes out of your day to really focus on, how am I holding my body right now after this virtual meeting that I've just had? Am I sweating under my armpits? Am I cringing, my shoulders up to my ears? Am I clenching my jaws? And so really just taking a moment to even body scan, starting with the crown of your head and working your way all the way down to your toes. And oftentimes that can be a little overwhelming. And so I say it's okay to talk to yourself. Like, ask yourself, how is my head doing? Am I thinking too much? Do I have too many thoughts going on? Maybe instead of thinking about all the things, maybe I write them down. And then moving down to your eyes on your face and your nose, and just noticing if, how is my jaw doing? Am I holding my tongue to the roof of my mouth instead of allowing it to relax in the bottom of my mouth? And so really taking a moment to body scan, and it could really just be 2 minutes out of your day, and focus on that. And then you'll start to notice more and more about yourself and get to know yourself. You'll get to know, Dell, when you send that email and you said you're not breathing. Now that you know that, maybe you sit there for a moment before hitting send and you just take a deep inhale, let the breath go. Maybe you reread it and see if it's actually what you want to say, and then you send it.
Versus just ignore it and just deal with it another day.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave out an office message. I'm going to be like, I am currently exhaling, and I'm inhaling and exhaling right now, and I'll be sure to get back with you.
Yeah.
It's funny that you said, I don't even know if I thought about the whole body scan part, like taking the time to really think through things. One of my weird things that I've come across is that when I sleep, I tend to clench, like I'm gonna fight somebody. I don't know why, but I've learned to now just kind of open my hand to rest it. And I literally consciously make an effort to make sure that I don't clench my hand. I actually will rest it. And it actually, I focus on it. I start thinking about my hand. I start thinking about it being relaxed. I start recognizing that it feels much better. And then I'm probably knocked out after that.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And, that goes back to our mission at Rise and Flow, to really create a space where you can just be brave and find agency in your practice. So, I can give you all the tools to do what you need to do to be mindful and create your own practice. But really the work comes back to the person who's doing it. And, for me, I may say that before bed, I like to listen to a podcast and, or I love to talk on the phone and just ease my mind instead of focusing on work, right? Think about what works for you. What may work for me may be very different than what works for you. So taking a moment to not compare yourself to anyone else, but really be mindful of what your needs are. That's mindfulness. It's all about you. We actually can focus on ourselves.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, hopefully that helps some folks. They're probably going to have a lot more questions, and they're probably going to, quickly go to your website to sign up for your classes to make sure, because in your classes, I know what you do is obviously you've got some yoga classes, but along the way, you're teaching mindfulness in everything that you're doing. Is that right?
Absolutely. Every single class. And, we may not say mindfulness, but we are cueing you to find that in your practice always.
Gotcha. All right. Well, all right. So we've got some questions that some of our viewers sent in earlier. So I'm gonna see if our producer can go ahead and put them on the screen for us so that we can answer them. Let's see. The first question is coming in from Melissa in Greensboro. How soon can someone start doing yoga again after an injury?
Yes.
You mentioned earlier you deal with folks that have injury or are dealing with chronic illness. So tell us more about that.
Yes, that's a great question. First, you want to be sure that you're cleared by your doctor. So always, first and foremost, making sure that whatever injury you have a full and clear understanding of what your time frame is to get back to your normal activity. And so once you have that cleared, always letting your yoga instructor know. So, we aren't here to pry into your personal lives, but having a transparent relationship with your yoga instructor will create a wholesome practice for you and your body. And so when your body is ready to practice yoga, you can always ease your way in and discuss what a good plan to come back to a yoga practice would look like. And Maybe you're not doing your vinyasa practice, right, which is a more powerful, fluid movement, but maybe you start out with some yin yoga where you're holding postures. It's a gentle flow. Or maybe you're focusing on restorative yoga to ease your way back in and taking your time, because there's absolutely no rush.
Yeah, I think if there's one thing that I've learned in a lot of these wellness partnerships that we have and talking to experts like yourself, it's that being transparent and being kind of honest in where you're currently at in either your activity or your body ailments is really a key. Because especially I can imagine if now the world has gone virtual, now I can decide, I can self-select when I want to do things. But it doesn't mean that you shouldn't be honest with yourself and say, you know, hey, I need to make sure you know that I'm doing this. Because ideally, you don't want to re-injure yourself.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, we have a cumbersome group of just postures and flows and different things that we can do in a yoga class, and being mindful that no matter what yoga class you are in, there is always a variation that is available for wherever you are in your practice. So maybe you're not in a full posture, but maybe you're inviting props to help support you in your practice. So whenever we know what injury you have, we can always bring in the best and customized yoga flow for you.
Great. All right. Well, hopefully we answered that question. I believe it was Melissa in Greensboro. So if you're coming off of an injury, make sure you're cleared and just let your instructor know, hey, this is what I'm dealing with. And, you know, don't push yourself and don't try to be a hero.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Okay, so the next question that we have, so there's Melissa. We've got, it looks like Carly and Charlotte wants to know, at what month should a pregnant woman stop or adjust their yoga routine?
Yes. Wow.
Interesting question.
That's a great question, actually. So I am certified in pre and postnatal yoga, and honestly, the best answer to that is it really depends on where you are with your journey in being active. So if you were active before, and now that you are pregnant and you're hoping to still remain active, really being transparent and honest with your body and how it is feeling right now. There are a lot of changes going on in your body, and so having zero judgment on how your body is changing versus where you feel like you should be, right? And so it really depends on the person. There's actually a technique that can promote a yoga practice all the way up until the day of birth. But it really depends on the female that's carrying and what their body is able to do. There are so many different ways to promote pelvic strength and flexibility there, and also just being mindful of what may be happening in your body that is completely new.
Yeah, I think, again, I hear, once again, transparency, being honest with your body, making sure that you're not trying to push yourself to the limit. I love the fact that you give this extra consideration around like being honest, like your body's changing and it's okay that it changes. You don't have to push yourself and stay at the same level. If you were super active before, it's okay if you start bringing it down a little bit, if needed. That you should not push yourself, but that there are great trained, yoga instructors like yourself that actually know and are certified to be able to work with pregnant women. I think that's fantastic.
Yes, absolutely. That's a great question.
Yeah.
Well, I won't give like a concrete number because that's not the same for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, the next question comes from, I think we've got a question coming from Raleigh. Okay, Sam in Raleigh. I've tried meditation with apps before, but never had any success. Do you recommend any apps? That's a good question. Do you use any of that technology? Do you any apps?
Not right now, only because I like to do my own thing,
Yeah.
But that's a really tough question too, because there are so many different types of meditations on all of the apps now. You really have to filter through, and that can be time consuming. But what I recommend is shifting the narrative about meditation. right? So you don't have to have a guided instructor sitting down with you for 10, 15 minutes, right? Meditation for you as a beginner can look like sitting in a chair or maybe lying in bed or sitting in your car before you crank it, 2 minutes or maybe even 1 minute, starting really minimal with the amount of time you're spending meditating, because it can be a bit of a shock for your body. Like if you are a busy person and you enjoy being active and moving all the time, being still might be a trigger for your body to think like, oh, something's wrong, right? So we want to definitely provide a transition period for your body, and challenging yourself to do 1 or 2 minutes of sitting down, breathing in through your nose, breathing out from your nose, just paying attention to your breath moving up, moving down will help you kind of ease into it. So instead of deciding that, oh, I'm going to sit down and do a 30-minute meditation, really let your body just ease into it, starting little by little.
All right. Well, that is a great non-answer. No, what I hear you saying is that don't fool yourself in thinking that an app is the only way to get to that level of meditation. Is that really kind of what you're saying there?
Absolutely. Yeah. And you know, there are different types of meditations. You can have a visualization. You can have like a story or mantras or affirmations or breathing techniques. And so when you're new to it and you don't really understand what the technique is and how it can benefit your body, it can be a bit of a body shock. And so I don't really have many apps to recommend because I honestly don't use them myself.
Gotcha.
But just trying to figure out what do you actually like and going with that.
Well, I appreciate Sam asking you that question because obviously being an expert, I think it could be, I'm one of these people that I will try a lot of things. And if I don't like them, I then dismiss the whole category. Yeah. So if I tried an app, if I'm like Sam and I tried an app and it just didn't work on me, I'm just gonna be like, huh, this meditation doesn't work for me. And so I think that's another thing to consider. If you do happen to try things, or maybe someone else says, hey, you should try this app, it worked for my friend, don't assume that it's the only thing that can work for you.
That's right. That's right. And honestly, so another thing, it's not an app, but podcast. So maybe it's not, I think one of the biggest meditation apps is Insight Timer. But there are also podcasts where there are yoga instructors that have recorded meditations that they have created for people that are in need of a stress release or specific things. And maybe even go on Apple Podcast or Androids or however you get your podcast, Spotify, and type in meditations. And there's some really great ones from there too. So it doesn't always have to be an app. It may even be a podcast. And there's also meditation books. So maybe getting away from technology and trying something different.
There you go. There's the truth right there. Get away from technology. I like that. You used the B word. You said get a book.
Yeah. What is that?
What is that? That's my meditation, flipping.
Yeah.
With my hand open.
There you go.
There you go. All right. What's our next question here? Let's see. So Mitchell in Raleigh said, can weightlifters benefit from yoga and how so?
Yes.
A weightlifter looking for some, I guess that's just not good enough for him. He needs more. He needs to do more. So tell Mitchell if it can be beneficial to someone like him.
Yes. And I'm laughing because my boyfriend, he lifts weights. And I'm always like, lift up your arms. Let me see how high you can lift your arms. And he's like, it's this far, you know? This is as far as I can go.
Yeah. My muscles are in the way.
Yeah. Exactly. So yes, the answer, Mitchell, is yes. That's a wonderful question. I know oftentimes we tend to lean towards the exercises and fitness routines that provide sweat and intensity and speed. And sometimes yoga can be a turnoff because it's not always like that, right? The work isn't always visible right away. But yes, if you are lifting weights, it's a great supplement to your workout. So it won't take the place of weightlifting, but it can maybe once a week incorporating it to create some flexibility in those muscles that are starting to get really tight from that repetitive movement of weightlifting.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about mindfulness, but that's the other side of the yoga spectrum, right? Like the benefits of flexibility and stretching your body out.
Right. I mean, and I feel like when I was on here last time, I did an analogy about pasta. And when your muscles are tight, it's like an uncooked noodle. And if you throw that against the wall, it will break. But if you have a cooked noodle, right? So you're incorporating some weightlifting, some yoga, and all the fun stuff. If you throw it against the wall, it will actually stick. We want to be the cooked pasta.
I just want to let our producer know that you owe me $10 because, yes, it is confirmed. She used the pasta analogy again. Yeah, we hear you loud and clear.
Yes.
Flexibility, movement, those are all. And really, whether you're a weightlifter or not, if you're doing any intense working out, using and incorporating yoga into that for more mobility, more flexibility, more stretching is a huge benefit.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, I'll take that $10. All right, what's our next question? Jenny in Wilmington says, does hot yoga really make a difference? Oh, now I've done hot yoga.
Yes.
I will hold back my opinion.
So, yes, hot yoga is an interesting yoga practice. It does provide some benefit, and I will kind of transition this leaning closer towards, if you do have an injury, sometimes hot yoga is a great entry point because you don't want to overexert anything on your body. You don't want to overstretch, or maybe you need that warmth in your body to actually supplement your yoga practice. And so think about whenever you do hot yoga, right, your body is getting warm. And so the muscles are getting warm, and it's a little bit easier to get into yoga postures. When you think about when you're doing a normal yoga practice, whether it's outdoors or in your home, you don't have that heat that's warming up your muscles. You're really having to do the work on your own. And so just think about that when you're looking forward to practicing and see what your body needs. But hot yoga is great. It's not one of the yoga practices that I practice, but it is a wonderful alternative.
Yeah, I will say I did it, and it was like in the harshest winter times, and I was like, yeah, this is fantastic. But all it basically did was made me sweat from the moment I walked in through every single movement. It was like torture the whole time, and I thought it made me feel good more than it should, but I think I just was hallucinating from dehydration. So.
That's the other thing. Make sure you're hydrated.
Yeah.
Make sure you're hydrated.
Yeah.
If your body is not used to those temperatures, ease your way into it. And most of the times they have a kind of a step-by-step class where you can kind of ease your way into it because it is different for your body.
Yeah. I mean, it was fun. I'll give it up to all the hot yoga instructors that are out there. It's definitely a different environment. It's definitely interesting and fun. And if you are one of those people who really likes to sweat, then that's probably going to be more of your cup of tea.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's all of the questions that we have. So now, Stephany, I'd love for you to, I know this is something that you've been wanting to do. Every time we've ever had you on the show, you always want to leave us with some kind of takeaway. So today I know you wanted to talk about some meditation techniques and kind of taking us through a quick little meditation practice.
Sure. Yes. Are you going to join me in this practice?
I was going to say I'll jump off the screen, but I can try. I'm standing up because my camera's way up, so I'm not going to be able to get on the floor. So I will do it standing up if that's possible.
That is possible.
All right. Knock me out and you have to end the show.
Okay. Oh, a good laugh is so good for the soul. So no matter where you are, whether you're standing or seated, just find a way to evenly distribute your weight, right? So both feet are grounded into the ground, or If you're seated, both sit bones are grounded into the ground or your yoga mat, or maybe even a cushion. And together we'll take a deep inhale through the nose, letting the breath go from the nose. We'll take a moment to notice our shoulders. Inhale, allowing the shoulders to rise by the ears, rolling them back, and exhale, let them fall down. Bringing your chin to a neutral position, making sure your nose is pointing straight ahead. Unclenching the jaw. Sometimes it helps if you peel your lips away from one another. And allowing your tongue to rest in the bottom of your mouth. Your eyes may be closed or they may be open. And I offer you this simple mantra. It's 2 words. Thank you. No need to explain those 2 simple words any further, but simply take note of how acknowledging gratitude can feel in your body. Breathing in through your nose, breathing out from your nose. Keep that pattern of breath moving up and moving down. And after 2 full breaths, repeating that mantra of thank you again. And together we'll finalize this meditation by breathing in through the nose, breathing out from the nose, repeating to yourself or aloud, thank you. Placing one hand over your heart, taking a full breath in, full breath out. Placing the other hand on top of your hand, fully breathing in, fully breathing out. And as we close out this meditation, I encourage you to think of someone special. Think of their name and repeat their name in your head or aloud. After speaking their name, simply say thank you. Together, taking a full inhale through the nose. We'll exhale from the nose. Releasing your hands. And when you're ready, opening your eyes if they aren't already. Thank you.
Thank you. I ended a little earlier. I opened my eyes early and I felt bad because you were still breathing.
No, you're fine.
And then I caught back up. Can I ask you a question? This is probably going to make you think I am super unflexible, but when you made that comment about dropping your tongue in your mouth a little bit, my teeth started chattering. And maybe it's because I'm standing, but I felt like I was tense even more.
Interesting. So sometimes I also cue people to separate their teeth, because a lot of times when we unclench the jaws, so that muscle in there, because it's so used to being tight, we'll unclench the jaws and then all of a sudden the teeth start going, they start like clenching each other. So sometimes I also cue to separate the teeth as well.
Yeah.
But really signaling that area of our face to relax. We clench it a lot.
Yeah, I definitely felt it. I tried to relax and my teeth just wanted to continue to chatter. I'm going to work on that.
No.
I'm going to work on it.
You will. I know you will.
All right. So that was a meditation. So I don't want to say easy, but it is as easy as that. Just taking the time, focusing on your breathing, thinking about your shoulders, thinking about, how you're holding your neck, holding your head. And then, little things like, are you separating your teeth? Are you unclenching your jaw? Being aware of all that can really help.
Yes, absolutely. And we don't really know it until we release it. And so our body is full of habits, right? And when our body is in the habit of doing something, that is the body's norm until that habit has been broken. So if your habit is clenching your jaws or clenching your teeth, that habit won't be broken until we practice it of releasing.
That just blew my mind. That's absolutely amazing. You're right. When we don't know what our bodies are just accustomed to unless we actually give it a chance to try something different.
Yes, absolutely. We are creatures of habit, whether we believe it or not. And so are our bodies. And I mean, I could get into the body is an amazing thing. I could get into all of that, but I won't dive deeper. But it is true. Practice, just practice. It doesn't have to be perfect. No day is ever going to be perfect. But as long as you practice it, it will create some space for you and your body to grow.
Well, I love it. I want to thank you, Stephany, for joining us today. For folks that are watching, it is Rise and Flow LLC for all of the fantastic virtual classes that you have live virtual classes. So there's a live schedule and then there's a library of classes that people can attend. And then if you want to follow Stephany and her team, you can go to Instagram at Rise and Flow and an underscore at the end there. So that make sure you guys follow Stephany. We're gonna have to have you on the show again. We're gonna have to go out and have lunch again. We're gonna have to take it on the road again.
Yay!
You can teach me about yoga, but I can teach you about food.
I'm all in.
There you go.
All in.
All right. Well, Stephany, thanks again for joining us today. We appreciate your time. We appreciate your expertise. We appreciate you answering the questions for some of our viewers. Hopefully they had a chance to see it and or they'll rewatch it later on to get their answers. I appreciate you always, Stephany. Thank you and continued success. And we're going to continue to keep having you in 2021 so that we all thrive.
Yay! Thank you, Dale. You're so awesome.
All right. You have a great day. You go wake up Camille and play with her some more. And then we go ahead and end the show here.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot. All right, guys. Well, that was a fantastic episode with our friend Stephany McMillan from Rise and Flow Yoga. Make sure you follow her. Make sure you follow her and her team. If you are interested in any more information, we've said it several times, go to her website, riseandflowllc.com. And then again, just a reminder for all of you customers out there, make sure that you are taking advantage. This is your week. This is your week to earn money from us. So go shopping, have a good time, and then earn double your mega rewards. That's now $10 off of every $50 that you spend both in stores and online. You guys have a great week. Enjoy.